What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and, well, when it comes down to it, I've done a lot of things involving video games, and this is gonna be one of the hardest ones I ever thought of. And basically, it's one that I considered basically remaking before making this video. However, since I had already made the bones of it, I decided to go for it. And which one would that be? Tropes. Specifically, my favorite tropes in video games. Granted, we all have those sorts of, things that we enjoy in video games, and I'm kinda no different, as we all have our specific opinions. That being said, might as well give my opinions about what my favorite video game tropes are from every video game that I've played. Especially, while I might not have specific opinions, this is the most I'm going to do. So, with that being said, and avoiding a tangent from myself, time to count down my top 10 favorite video game tropes. Alright, starting off first at number 10, we have, of course, tutorials. Yeah, honestly, I know this is gonna be a hot take considering, everyone tends to hate tutorials, but more often than not, I'm more of a take it or leave it sort of guy, which is really saying a lot considering more often than not, I will spend time playing the same video games over and over again, more often than not from the same franchises. And when it comes to branching out to other franchises, it kind of helps to have a tutorial to learn about the franchise if I have never played it before. But it's kind of nice to come back to franchises I enjoy as well. And that really says a lot when you consider that a lot of video games that I know of are kind of doing a good job to skip the tutorials. I mean, Pokemon Sword and Shield skips the catching tutorial if you've already captured a Pokemon or two, so there's that. And in terms of Fire Emblem, and while Fire Emblem's kind of a little different, their tutorials can just easily enough be skipped. However, I kind of just like them still. I mean, granted, there are the kind of good tutorials and bad tutorials. I mean, if we take Pokemon into account, the Generation 7 games kind of have the best tutorials because they're largely just baked into the story, which kind of makes some sense since it's a new style of battles rather than the usual gym battles. However, Legend ZA's tutorial kinda does the opposite. I mean, seriously, Tawny, I know we're going to visit Emma, but honestly, if there's items around the way, let me pick them up! I am sorry, that just gets annoying after some time. Doesn't mean I hate Pokemon though. I still like it, as it's still kind of a autistic special interest of mine. So yeah. Moving on next at number 9, we have large or extensive casts. Granted, I'm not sure if this could be considered a trope, but honestly, it's very fair to say that more often than not, when it comes down to most video games, it's kind of important to have an interesting cast of characters. As in the type of characters where you'll easily find someone you enjoy. And more often than not, this is the sort of thing that I kind of enjoy a lot, because when it comes down to it, and I always tend to find a lot of favorites from my franchise and favorite games. And honestly, I'm always able to find a favorite character from those franchises. And that being said, more often than not, RPGs tend to be the best example of all this, because they have a fair amount of characters that you will enjoy that can come off as some of your favorites. And in all fairness, there are really a lot of video games that definitely tend to show this. From both Fire Emblem Fates and Fire Emblem Three Houses, having such an amazing cast of characters that more often than not, you'll be playing that I enjoy so much that I've played through both games multiple times each. Like, again, as I've pointed out, I played through Three Houses 10 times. And you don't want to know how many times I've played through Fates. So yeah. But then there's, of course, the likes of series like Final Fantasy, Shining Force, and Dragon Quest. All of which have extensively amazing characters that basically tend to bring in a lot of iconic popularity. I mean, when it comes to Final Fantasy, I tend to enjoy both 4 and 10 because the characters have certain aspects of their personality which tend to shine throughout the game. Like fully. And heck, even in the sequels, their characters tend to shine. Whereas with Shining Force, you tend to have an amazing cast of characters which really tend to break the mold. And while I've only played Resurrection of the Dark Dragon and Sword of Hagia, the fact that we have individuals like rat ninjas, as robots, turtles, phoenixes, and I guess even elf mages or giant monks really definitely gets my fantasy loving brain going. And in Dragon Quest, while I've only played 2 games in the franchise, I really have a lot of love for the cast of both of the games thus far. From Dragon Quest III, where you can essentially recruit your party members in the game, and they can really make the most of your party. And can really make the most of your journey. Whereas with Dragon Quest XI, gives us some an amazing font of characters. And Veronica, who, yeah, I tend to have an interesting opinion of. But it's not just RPGs that have this as well, as many other franchises have their extensive group of characters that really tend to win over their own fair share of fans. The Yakuza, from the Yakuza franchise, with the amount of characters that, from like playable characters like Kiryu, Majima, and Ichiban Kasuga, to party members or NPCs like Psycho, Nanba, Zhao, Taiga Saijima, and the list just goes on and on. I mean, heck, even to the amount of side story NPCs that tend to win, that tend to stand out a lot, from the likes of Pocket Circuit Fighter and that one Yakuza who basically shows to have a love for dressing up like a baby, and heck, even the likes of Steven Spielberg and Michael Jackson. I mean, Steven Spining and Miracle Johnson. And then there's the Mario Kart and Mario Party franchise, which not only allows you to play as the countless human or main characters from the Mario franchise as a whole, and Waluigi, but also they've also given you a chance to play as many enemies, bosses, and mini bosses in the franchise as well. I mean, seriously, Mario Kart World gives you a chance to play as the likes of Conkdor, Stingbee, Sidestepper, Chargin' Chuck, and even a snowman and a cow. Yeah, that's impressive. And the less I say about the Kirby franchise, the better. But let's just be real. There's a reason why I want to play Kirby Star Allies. It's the characters. Moving on next at number 8, we have water levels. Oh boy, another hot take here, but I love water levels. Honestly, considering, yeah, the reason why it's such a hot take here is because from the the 16-bit, 32-bit era of video games, everyone and their mother has more or less dogged on water levels for how they are. And honestly, it really does say a lot when you have levels like, well, I guess I'd say the Lily Pad ride from Super Mario Sunshine, or even the infamous Water Temple from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. When it comes down to it, I really love the water levels because they're just so serene and atmospheric, and they just allow me to just be in the moment. Granted, while there are some moments that allow me to hurry, yeah, I gotta admit, even I can't ignore how at peace I feel. Almost like I'm reaching a bit of nirvana every time I play a solid level. And again, that's not just saying a lot. And I'm not just saying it to be kind of contradictory, but I've literally felt that way since I have an interesting love for most water levels. I mean, it took me a while until the 3DS remake of Ocarina of Time to experience the water temple for myself, and I pretty much just enjoyed it. The first Mario water level I ever enjoyed was Jolly Roger Bay from Super Mario 64. And honestly, as much as Fire Emblem goes, I think I have to say my favorite is the port of Deirdre from Three Houses. But that's more or less not here nor there. And in all fairness, there's a good chance in the future I might do a list of my favorite water levels in video games. Who's to say? Although in all fairness, at least it's better than desert levels. But we'll get to that soon enough. Oh yeah, we will. Moving on next at number 7, we have the boss rush. Oh man. We're finally getting somewhere into a trope involving video game bosses. And more often than not, there are a fair amount of video game boss tropes that I would more or less like. But more often than not, the boss rush I really do enjoy. I mean, first off, I kind of enjoy these sorts of tests of skill that test everything you've learned and experienced throughout the game. And it really does say a lot when you think about it. And the boss rush is really one of the better ones that really are really kind of enjoyable. Plus, you're dealing with either the best of the best that you've ever faced off against, or you're dealing with bosses that you faced off against before, and you're taking them on yet again. And honestly, there are a lot of boss rushes that I enjoy. I mean, you got the challenge that... Dang it. Oh yeah, you got the challenge you got the boss rush challenge that Lanairu who poses to you in Skyward Sword, where you're facing off against the bosses that you faced off prior to that point, which is just amazing. The Elite Four from Pokemon is a perfect way to test out your knowledge of Pokemon training and your team as a whole before they decide whether you're fit to become Pokemon champion. And honestly, even though I have not played that many of Kirby's arenas, I have played the arena from Triple Deluxe and Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I found myself enjoying every second of it. Especially Forgotten Lands arena, where you basically get a chance to face off mano a mano with Meta Knight. And that is one of the most amazing spectacles I have ever seen. That being said, there are some boss rushes that, they don't do too well. Looking at you, Okami. Seriously. I mean, it works for the others, but facing off against Orochi for a third time is crossing the line. Moving on next, at number 6, we have quick time events. Okay. Now this is the last hot take, I swear. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people that hate me for this one, but I actually love quick time events. Granted, anything that allows, and granted, I also love button mashing minigames or anything that has me, furiously button mashing. But in certain aspects, quick time events are just kind of the same thing. I mean, when it comes down to it, every time I play video games, sometimes a video game just drags on to a point that I'm just kinda zoning in and out. But even with that, if there's a quick time event, it normally just does enough to wake me up. That I'm basically allow me to just quickly react to it and just get my blood pumping. And again, there are some bad quick time events. I mean, after all this time, for example, it's been almost, I don't remember, I think it's been 8 or 9 years since I played Uncharted Drake's Fortune. And after all this time, 7 or 8 years since I played Uncharted Drake's Fortune. And after all this time, I'm realizing that the Atok Navarro boss fight the boss fight against Atok Navarro is not really the best. And it's just a glorified QuickTime event. And, yeah. I'm sorry, but it's not worth it. But there are other QuickTime events that I enjoy, so yeah, it really does kind of make the most of it. I mean, heck, I just borrowed Sonic Frontiers from the library, so yeah, maybe there are some QuickTime events in that I'm gonna really enjoy. Who knows? Moving on next at number 5, you have the puzzle boss. Honestly, alright. Naturally, when it comes to boss battles, I have my favorite boss. There are a lot of bosses I enjoy in different video games. But more often than not, sometimes some bosses show that you're gonna need a lot more than just brute force. And that's where the puzzle boss comes in. And more often than not, there are a lot of puzzle bosses. And in fairness, the fact that the puzzle boss basically has a specific pattern to their fighting style that you basically have to memorize and in order to strike, it really has its sort of... That really makes it one of the best that you could ever enjoy. And honestly, I really like it because it allows me to think on my toes. Just using my own brain to basically take in their battle, style and finding a way to either disrupt it or definitely find ways to take in their own, or basically use it against them. And honestly, this is just saying a lot, but there are really a lot of bosses that do that. I mean, while I'm not sure where he stands, one such boss I have to mention is Jarvis from Dragon Quest XI, since, well, he's basically one of the few bosses that... and summons ghosts, and you're finding a way to not only defeat him, but defeat the ghosts that are alongside him. And and the fact that you're basically... your character and Eric are teamed up with both Veronica and Serena. Yeah, it really... you basically have a team of 4. And it's enjoyable all the more. It's not just Dragon Quest that has it. Kirby, because both Kirby and Zelda have some interesting puzzle bosses as well. I mean, just to name it off at the top of my head, but in terms of Kirby, you have the likes of bosses like Magman from Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, Sectonia from Triple Deluxe, and even Clawroline from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, who basically serve as puzzle bosses all on their own. Whereas with Zelda, you got... dang, I am blanking at this point. Oh yeah. With Zelda, one would basically say it's the... well, any of the bosses from Majora's Mask, even the 3D versions of... even the 3D remake, and I guess even Blind the Thief or Stallblind from Legend of Zelda Link to the Past or / Link Between Worlds. And honestly, yeah. I mean, heck, I guess when you think about it, if we go with Blind the Thief and Stallblind definitely takes precedence over his SNES counterpart by basically realizing that the shield is allowing you to basically get the jump on him, so he just throws it away and then just goes full and then just goes fully on the offensive against you. So, yeah. When a puzzle boss actually learns, that makes it much more impressive. So, yeah. Moving on next at number 3, we have... no, wait, not number 3. Moving on next at number 4, we have character customization. Yeah. Honestly, I am surprised no one has... I'm surprised we've all taken this sort of thing for granted. But honestly, I love it when you're able to create a character, customize a character based on yourself. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, sometimes character customization really does tend, because honestly, it kind of makes it a perfect way to just live out some kind of fantasy. And live out some kind of fantasy. You just going on your own journey. And honestly, when it comes down to it, when you put yourself into the game, it's a really enjoyable thing. And that being said, there are a fair amount of franchises I enjoy that do this that do this thing perfectly. Granted, as much as I keep praising Pokemon and Fire Emblem, yeah, they stand at the top of this list more than once when it comes down to character customization. Because in all fairness, the amount of customization options really tend to be just chef's kiss. Full on. Granted, they do have their own stumbling blocks. I mean, Scarlet and Violet, you're stuck with your school uniform, so there's not much customization there. In terms of Fire Emblem, yeah, outside of that, 3 houses and Engage just really don't have that many the same customization options for Byleth and Alear as they did for Robin and Corrin in Awakening and Fates, respectively. I mean, heck, arguably enough, I would also say Chris and New Mystery of the Emblem has some solid customization options. Even down to what class you're deciding to make them into. Which really says a lot. However, that being said, outside of Pokemon and Fire Emblem, honestly, I guess I'd say other characters tend to customizing yourself and other characters with skills and sort of loadouts kind of make them amazing as well. As I have to praise the likes of Dragon Quest XI and their skill grid, Final Fantasy X spear grid, and even Borderlands in their skill system being just amazing. And honestly, I really gotta say, I will go for any character customization as long as it's good. Again, my question is, why are the girl options so much better than the guy options? Just seriously. I've always, whenever I've played Pokemon, or Fire Emblem, I've played through as a female character. I've played through a lot of them as the female character. Just, what gives? Moving on next at number 3, we have invincibility frames. Okay. In this world of challenge runs and this need for a higher scope of difficulty in video games, it's very fair to say that we have taken invincibility frames for granted. And honestly, That much, I have to say, is kind of an interesting one. Because, honestly, if it wasn't for invincibility frames, first, I wouldn't have been able to play through certain video games as much as I have if it wasn't for utilizing them to the best of my ability, their abilities. And trust me, I have not played that many video games, but if you if I have if I've played a video game that has these, I get hit, I basically get a chance to essentially dodge damage for a small amount of time to more or less to basically get a little further than I normally would, or even get in a few licks at the boss that gave me trouble. And honestly, it really does say a lot. Granted, especially with the fact that we see a lot of some of the best ones with invincibility frames are, well, platformers. And honestly, there are a lot of platformer video games that I've played that have that make the use invincibility frames the best. These include like the original Donkey Kong Country for the SNES, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the original Shantae for the Game Boy Color. You got you got Super Mario Land. I mean, and even the Mega Man franchise has had, and even the classic Mega Man series have utilized these. In fact, when it comes down to the classic Mega Man franchise, the classic Mega Man series, I wouldn't have gotten further in many of those entries, like 2, 4, 3, and 7, if it wasn't for invincibility frames. And keep in mind, all of those were for the Mega Man Anniversary Collection on Nintendo's lunchbox. Yeah, the GameCube, which I still have. So yeah. Thank God for invincibility frames. Moving on next at number 2, we have adaptive music. Alright. For most of those that already don't know, I love music. I'm a big music fan. Anything involving in music, if there's a song that I enjoy, I am going to start dancing whenever I hear it. And more often than not, when it comes to video game music, most adaptive music really do tend to have that sort of feeling to it. As basically, many of them tend to have their own sort of ideas and ways that they tend to utilize music to the best of their ability. Again, I know this is a commonly used example, but Banjo-Kazooie is basically one of the most notable ones because entirely of Grunty's lair basically just changes the tempo and instrumentation, whichever world you're close to. I mean, and keep in mind, Gruntilda's lair is more. The theme of Gruntilda's lair sounds the most like Teddy Bear Picnic, which I have never realized, and now I cannot unhear it. But yeah, they have some amazing ones. Whether sounding similar to a salty sea jig when you get to Rusty Bucket Bay, or adding organ when you get to Mad Monster Mansion, or having a bit of a forested seasonal idea when you get to Click Clack Wood. And it's not just that. Another idea comes courtesy of Delfino Square from Super Mario Sunshine, which honestly has a bit of a vacation or beach style feel, with the ukulele and accordions and everything. And like dun 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 dun, and it's just amazing. But hatch a Yoshi from an egg, and you add in bongos to it, adding a bit of a fast-paced feel to it, almost like it's sounding like you're almost sounding like the feet of a Yoshi that's running along like you're riding a Yoshi. And you're riding alongside that Yoshi, and it's sounding like its movements and steps. And then there are others that also have that sort of feel. I mean, again, Punch-Out, and both Pokemon and Punch-Out definitely do so when it comes to combat. As in terms of Generation 5, Pokemon's battle theme is just amazing. But if you're at low health, instead of the ding dong ding dong ding dong of the low health of the health bar just constantly sounding, you're hearing a sort of like dun dun dun, dun. You're hearing this frantic feeling, almost like your Pokemon is basically just fighting for its life, which honestly I gotta say is just amazing. And heck, even with that, in terms of the gym leader battle, the fact that when the gym leaders are down to their final Pokemon, yeah, you got that final additional fanfare that basically shows that basically makes it shows that you're down to the wire and you're giving it all you got. It's just like, is just triumphant. It's amazing. And the fact that they actually used the main theme of the Pokemon franchise for this is really just icing on the cake. Meanwhile, as for Punch-Out, yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it has to be Punch-Out for the Wii. Especially with the fact that each of the themes basically changes depending on which opponent you're basically facing off against. And there are instruments depending on which enemy you're facing off against. Like like you have an accordion if you're facing off against Glass Joe. Or if you're facing off against Glass Joe. Spanish guitar for Don Flamenco. Or disco for Disco Kid. Something that you hear in an Irish pub or not. Something that you hear in an Irish pub if you're facing off against Aaron Ryan. Or even surf rock for Super Macho Man. Honestly, it's the sort of thing that just makes me wish we got a new Punch-Out game. Because I want to see a lot more music cues with whatever other opponents you're facing off against. And finally, at number 1, we have the silent protagonist. Yeah. Remember I mentioned how, in terms of character customization, it allows you to make your character look like yourself or whatever you want it to look like as a term of, like, playing out some form of fantasy? Well, as much as we know about it, that's the perfect case with the silent protagonist. And honestly, granted, as much as I like a character that talks, like, that has his ability to talk and has their ability to just put in their own 2 cents, like, for certain things. Like, if I could guess, I'd say it would be similar to the likes of characters like Alear from Fire Emblem Engage, or John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, or Nathan Drake from Uncharted. As much as I like those characters, sometimes it's a character that says very little that basically are the most interesting. Because they're more or less an extension of you. They're showing, like, who you... They're basically enough to just say... Just put you in the driver's seat. Like, they're saying... I'm sure they do have some will have some vocalizations, but for the most part, it's just the developers just saying, here, you're in the driver's seat, you're the hero, it's your story. And honestly, oh, I love this entire thing. I mean, and honestly, throughout the years, we've had so many characters that have been a perfect way to essentially basically just showcase that the point of their personality. Like, it's not just Mario that's rescuing it's not just Mario that's rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser for the umpteenth time. It's you. You're not... It's not Link that's basically facing off against Ganondorf for the fate of Hyrule and the world. It's you. It's not just Red just waiting up, but just spending countless amount of time training alone on the peak of Mount Silver. It's you. It's not just Claude. It's not just Claude Speed. It's not just Claude Speed just stealing Katarina away from CJ in GTA San Andreas, or Chrono trying to save the world from the interstellar parasite, from the alien parasite, and from the interstellar or alien parasite Lavos and Chrono Trigger. It's not just you. It's not just Samus saving the galaxy from the likes of Ridley and Mother Brain, and helping, as well as taking care of the baby Metroid and Super Metroid. It's all you. Yeah. And yes, the fact that I'm mentioning about Mario, Link, Red, Claude Speed, Chrono, and Samus all in one breath is because all of them are silent protagonists, and all of them are perfect ways to allow you into the driver's seat. Never mind the fact that two of those characters have basically had bad CGI versions of themselves. One character basically has a manga version of himself that speaks, and the other, and one basically was a part of a not so popular title in their franchise where she constantly monologued about the baby. But yeah, either way, there's no better way to figure it out than the silent protagonist being number one. And with that, those are my top 10 favorite video game tropes. Like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, if you want to, join my Patreon at patreon.com/theautisticslicer. Granted, you can either join a free tier, or if you have money, that depends, if you have enough money to do so, you can join one of my tiers. Yes. And it really says a lot. Granted, that being said, I don't want anyone destroying themselves financially in order to support me, so that's why I'm pointing out the free tier. But the paid tier is there for those that have a bit of extra cash in order to support me. In order to help support me. So, yeah, there's that. That being said, even with that, I'll see you next time, folks. As I'm going to do a special Father's Day countdown next week, and meaning I'm gonna take a look at the best dads in video games. See you then.